There is a great tool in Photoshop that I use often for adjusting colors, and it's called Hue Saturation. Before I show this to you, what I want to do is first get the exposure correct on this image, which is typically a great idea to do before you start messing with the colors. So I am just going to go and create an adjustment layer that is levels. And let's go ahead and drag the right slider into the first little highlight there. Left slider in the first shadow, and we could tweak the midtones here if we want. And that's pretty good. And I want to create another adjustment layer. This time I want to create a hue saturation adjustment layer. Now if you are just going to increase the vibrance of colors, I really recommend using the vibrance adjustment layer. What this does here is that we have vibrance and saturation. The saturation increases the saturation of all the colors in the image. Let's just get back down to 0 to undo that. But vibrance, kind of the same thing. It gives the colors more vibrant, except that it respects skin tones a little bit more. So with saturation, it care all the colors up, the same amount, but vibrance is going to brighten all the colors and leaves skin tones kind of where they are. And we will make them just a little bit brighter. Or again, if we go the opposite direction, and negative values would be saturating the image or taking away the vibrance of the image. But this is a way just to boost general colors. I am just going to leave that for right now. I am going to open up another just layer here, and what we really want to do is play with hue saturation. This is kind of a great and very flexible tool for adjusting the colors in an image, and by default we have this drop down here, and it sets the master, so we can adjust all the hues in the image at once. And you see that's happening there. It's going to shift in every color along a color wheel. We can also adjust the master saturation, kind of like what we just saw with vibrance saturation, except again, just like the previous saturation, there is no respect for skin tones, and it also adjusts the lightness of the image. But when you are dealing with an entire image, you don't want to fiddle with lightness, because it's going to take every pixel and make every pixel darker, including your beautiful highlights, or it's going to make every pixel bright, including your beautiful shadow. So you don't want to do that. This is also a nice way to colorize an image. I can check colorize, and then I hit add a hue. Say if I want this to be all blue, we can adjust the saturation and the lightness here. But again, we probably want to stay away from lightness. But we can colorize image very quickly by checking this checkbox. But what I wanted you here is actually make the background blue and make her a little bit more red. So what I can do is from this drop down choose one of these different categories, such as cyan, so it just kind of looks cyan to me. So I am going to choose only cyan, and I can adjust the hue until we get the blue color we are looking for our saturation. Now you notice that the further away from the natural color that we go, then the more that this color here tends to break up and kind of get noisy and not look so great. So be careful about that. But just for purposes of demonstration, I am going to allow that for right now. Now I wanted to adjust this little spot of color here. I want to make this blue, and right now it's kind of lavender purple. Now we are not seeing lavender purple as a choice here in this drop down. First, the great solution. We can click in this little icon and then come over to a given area, and if we hold down the Command key on the Mac or the Control key on the PC, we can click and then scrub to adjust the hue. So I can click and drag this to the left until this becomes a little bit more blue, and we have done that very easily. I could do the same thing here. This is red to my eyes, but Photoshop might not see it as red, so I could just Control or Command click on that skin tone and drag to the left or right, and you see now I am adjusting the hue of just that color range. If I did not use the modifier given, did not use Command or Control while I was clicking on that, then we would be adjusting the saturation of that color family, which actually works in this case. So, as again, I will click on this eye icon. We could see the before and the after. So we have taken this kind of massive colors and given those colors some definition. Again, we have introduced a lot of noise and visual garbage here because we have taken these colors a little bit farther away from their original colors than we should have. But at the same time, we actually have made this little chronicle. So, using hue saturation is a great way to play with color selectively without having to make any necessary selections. You just select the colors right here, and hue saturation, extremely convenient and one of the fastest ways to choose and adjust colors.